Good afternoon, everybody. Today's date is the 28th of January, and the time's 1:30 in the afternoon here in the UK. So this week, the big planet of the week is Neptune. There isn't much else going on. Everything that's aspecting to Neptune this week. So be prepared to be foggy. Be prepared for having trouble getting to where you want to be, being able to be decisive, just being not quite here, maybe off with the fairies a little bit. May find your arrangements may not go to plan because of the fact that they can end up being disrupted because of like kind of woolly vibes. Certainly felt like myself today with the nice little blizzard preventing me from getting me to where I needed to be. So yeah, Neptunian vibes around the place, and we started off the week. So I apologise if this is a little bit late. With the Venus square to Mars, and it's these two planets that Neptune is playing with this week. So playing off the two between the Venus and the Mars, and them two playing off each other as well. So you've got the Venus in Pisces squaring to the Mars in Sagittarius. And both of these planets are principled in their own way. Pisces is a very idealistic sign. It tends to view the world through the rose-tinted glasses, not very practical, looking at best-case scenarios, sometimes a bit wishful thinking. And Mars, which is in Sagittarius, is all about values, principles, ideals as well. So those two things playing off each other and sometimes causing frustration. So life not living up to promises, ideals not being met, wanting to get into one place and then not being able to get there because competing influences for that higher ground are preventing that from happening. So I would say definitely from the beginning of this week, don't be prepared to get any clear answers from things. It's just not going to happen. Those energies are just not allowing for that, and there's going to have to be compromises going on between these two signs. And because neither of them are of a practical persuasion, this is more sort of say principles and ideals rather than actual concrete plans and reality. So you may have ideas in your head, say, about how things you want things to play out for you. I mean, particularly Venus and Mars in terms of relationships with other people, maybe not getting the answers that you want from people, maybe disagreements on ideals and values and where you want things to be. So be prepared for a little bit of that as the week commences. And on the Tuesday, you have got Venus conjunct to Neptune, so adding, say, a great deal of confusion and woolliness to the day. I mean, the ideal would be to be able to spend some time away from the pressures of life so that you can concentrate on what these two planets do well, which is the kind of idealistic thinking, dreaming. It's definitely duvet day material is this particular aspect, and certainly with the weather like it is here, it could be that is forced upon you rather than it being a want in your life. So if you are forced to step away from the daily grind, embrace it. Take that chance and use that opportunity to dream, to spend time off on your own little plane and, writing things down. You remember writing stories, writing poetry, getting into music, getting into films that can help you escape from the world. And I think we all need that towards the end of January anyway, because it can be a very, very hard month, and it has been a very hard month with all the Capricorn heavy duty stuff that's been upon us. So having a bit of enforced time away from that grind to spend in pursuit of something a little bit more fluffy and woolly certainly doesn't go amiss. But yeah, if you did want to use this time productively, it is about, what are your ideals? What are your, in an ideal world, what would you be doing with your time? Who would you be with? What would be happening for you? It's that, I've used this in my coaching with people. It's like you come down one morning and all your dreams have come true. What does that look like? Have you ever thought about it? So, who would be there? Who would be there at the breakfast table when you walk down those stairs and into the kitchen? Or, what could you see? What would be around you? Where would you be? And then once you have thoroughly described that scenario, then look at how that matches up with the reality that you have. And if there is a massive mismatch with those two things, well, how can you then go about bridging that gap? Even in some small way, you might be able to find a way to make some of those dreams come true. Say it could be getting the people in your life together that you care about and are precious to you. It could be about changing your job. It could be about changing your location, changing your lifestyle, whatever that looks like. And because I think as well, because the Capricorn heaviness has forced us to look down so much, because they're heavy power, Saturn, Pluto, heavy power, has, it's felt like this huge weight on our shoulders has been there all the way through January. And you can forget to look up sometimes, well, because sometimes you can't even feel like you can look up because the weight's so heavy upon you. And this week is that opportunity to be able to look up and see whether or not you can match up some of that ideal world stuff with the practical realities of life. So yeah, even if you do have to face the big harsh world on Tuesday today, maybe once you get home you can start to explore some of these things. And it definitely is the perfect day to escape, even if it's having a really nice bath, or to have getting a great film on TV, or say getting the music on, whatever it happens to be. It's just that find your Neptunian vibe. If you can spend it with water, then obviously that would be a great plan, because with Neptune ruling any water spaces. So, it could be going for a swim. It could be if you're lucky enough to go and spend time on the beach, and connecting with water in some way, shape or form. On a more abstract level, so it's definitely things like music come under this, and connecting with music is very, very Neptunian. Just being able to feel something that doesn't have words, but that can provoke emotion. So definitely those kind of things. And if you think of it in terms of your relationships, maybe connecting with some of the ideals that you once had, or even still do hold. Have you settled for something that does not match up with your ideal just for security's sake? And is there any way you can bring in some of those dreams into your life, or back into your life again, because we should always hold on to these things. We shouldn't, while people can dismiss Neptune as being, too unrealistic, and you've got to grow out of that kind of thing, and you've got to be practical and adult and sensible. To quote the song, if you don't have a dream, how can you have a dream come true? And that's very true in relation to this week and thinking about Neptune in general. It's, if you don't dream it, it can never exist. And even if the chances, even those outs, that are so big that these things may never happen, at least you've had a go, at least you've tried, or at least you've shot for the moon and even got to the stars. It's got to be worth the go. So that's the vibe on Tuesday, and then then you've got also coming into the mix is the moon in Pisces as well, which is going to be adding to that Neptune waters. So very much focus on the mutables. So the mutables haven't really had a lot of emphasis since Jupiter moved out of Sagittarius in December, but will do so increasingly as the year goes on, with the nodes moving into the Gemini Sagittarius axis, and obviously Neptune being very important as part of that mix, squaring off to both of those two signs. So whereas the mutable signs of Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, Pisces have been relatively safe in terms of the huge weight of the Capricorn large planets, this week you might too feel it, and it might be just feeling of discontent. Sometimes people talk about difficult aspects to Neptune as being like the divine discontent, that kind of mismatch between what is reality and what you might feel is your divine mission and what should exist. And it's like I say, you maybe needing to reconnect with that. The only point it will get, say it gets that kind of frustration element, is with the Mars in the mix, not being able to get there maybe as quickly as you would like to, or maybe not having the willingness, the drive, if you like, with Mars being involved, to get you to where you want to be. Or it could just be that circumstance does not allow you to kind of put those things into reality right now. So but that's not to say that they can't in the future. So like I said, think of these as being germs of ideas rather than practical plans, things you can hope for. And I think in the depths of winter and these Saturn times, we need that in our lives. We need that kind of connection to the divine, to things that are more beautiful and unreal and fantastical, that is far removed from planet Earth. And I'd say it definitely feels like we could do with a dose of that this week. So the final aspect is Wednesday. We've got the Mars square Neptune, so again going nowhere very quickly. Kind of the frustrations that go with it. So your mind is, say, wandering off into this ideal land and hoping for and wishing for some of these things, but just maybe feeling like your current circumstances are not allowing you to get there, or just not having the drive to get there. So coping with that kind of frustration. But so to me, it almost feels like you've got to kind of put those intentions in a holding pen for now until you can get those out there into the world and start to find some time and space to action some of these things. So yeah, definitely a week for dreaming, definitely a week for trying wherever possible to escape from the grind and cocooning yourself against that kind of harsh reality. And so that could end up being forced because of the weather, or it could just be that you have that time and space to be able to do those things. So yeah, that's all that's really happening this week. We'll be back onto it next week with some more planetary activity. So I'll keep this particular session with you all short and sweet. Please comment in the boxes. The full video is available at DWiz3 on YouTube. Please subscribe and comment on that and like. And I shall speak to you all soon. Thanks very much for listening.